You know that feeling when someone's watching you? That prickle on the back of your neck? The instinctive urge to look over your shoulder? I always thought paranoia was just that, paranoia, until the day I realized I wasn't imagining it. It started with a note on my car, simple, almost harmless, a sticky note on my windshield that read, "I see you." I laughed it off, probably some dumb prank, right? But deep down, something about it felt off. At the time, I had no idea this was just the beginning of years of terror, the beginning of me being hunted by someone I didn't even know, but who knew everything about me. Part 1. The first signs. I was 22 when it started. I lived alone in a small apartment in a quiet neighborhood. It wasn't the nicest place, but it was mine. I worked late shifts at a diner, meaning I often got home past midnight. That night, when I found the note, I barely reacted. Just a joke, right? But then, over the next few weeks, small things started happening. I'd come home to find my front door unlocked, even though I was sure I had locked it. Random scratches on my apartment window, as if someone had been testing it. My bathroom light left on, though I always turned it off before work. At first, I chalked it up to exhaustion. I was tired, distracted. Maybe I was being careless. But then one night I found something that made my blood run cold. A photograph slipped under my door. A photo of me, sleeping in my own bed. Part 2. A shadow in the dark. My hands shook as I stared at the picture. The angle, whoever took this had been inside my apartment. I checked my locks, all secured, my windows latched shut, but I barely slept that night. I lay in bed, eyes fixed on my bedroom door, straining to hear any sound. And then, around 3 a.m. I heard it. A creak. Software slow, coming from my living room. My breath caught in my throat. I reached for my phone, my heart hammering. But when I finally gathered the courage to check, nothing. Just my empty apartment, silent and still. Maybe I was losing it. Maybe stress was getting to me. But deep down, I knew the truth. Someone had been inside my home, and they weren't done with me yet. Part 3. The escalation. Over the next few weeks, things only got worse. I started noticing a man. At first, it was subtle. I'd spot him across the street wearing a hood, standing just far enough that I couldn't see his face. Then I'd see him at my diner, sitting in the corner, never ordering much, just watching. I told myself it was coincidence. I was being paranoid. Until one night, I walked out of work and found him standing next to my car, just standing there, staring at me. I froze. My hand hovered over my phone, ready to dial 911, but then, without a word, he turned and disappeared into the alleyway. I should have reported it. I should have told someone. But I didn't. Because a part of me still didn't want to believe this was real. Until the night I almost died. Part 4. The night he came inside, it was 2 a.m. I had just gotten home from work. I locked my door, as always, checked my windows, everything secure. But that night I woke up to a sound I will never forget. A doorknob turning, slow, deliberate. I sat up in bed, my breath caught in my throat. My bedroom doorknob was turning. The lock held, but then I heard footsteps. Software, barefoot, inside my apartment. I reached for my phone, hands shaking, dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? Before I could answer, my bedroom light flicked on. I turned, and my stomach dropped. There he was, standing in my doorway, smiling. Part 5. The truth, I screamed. The operator was yelling into the phone, asking what was happening. But the man, he just stood there, watching me. Then, before the police arrived, he whispered something I will never forget. "I've been watching you for years." Then he was gone. By the time officers arrived, there was no sign of him. No fingerprints, no forced entry, nothing. Just a single object left on my nightstand, a key, the spare key I had lost 2 years ago, the key he had been using all along. Part 6. The Aftermath. The police never found him. They said it was a break-in, but I knew better. This wasn't random. This wasn't chance. He had been in my life for years, watching, waiting, living in the shadows. I moved, changed numbers, deleted all my social media, but to this day, I still feel him. Sometimes at night I wake up, suddenly my heart pounding, my instincts screaming at me. I look at my bedroom door, and for just a moment, I swear I see the handle twitch. If you think this couldn't happen to you, think again. We never truly know who's watching us. If you've ever felt like someone was following you, or if you've had a terrifying stalker experience, tell your story in the comments. And if you never want to end up in a story like this, check your locks, because sometimes the monster isn't under your bed. He's been inside all along.